Joining me now in the studio is Drewery Dyke from the organisation ALQST, which advocates for human rights in Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. I know that you've been actively campaigning to find out what has happened to Khashoggi. What pressure do you believe should be brought to bear on Saudi Arabia?
A full panoply of pressure should be brought to bear on Saudi Arabia, chief of which is the United States government. It's encouraging, at least, that the Trump administration appears engaged, more engaged now than it previously was, particularly since evidence has come out from the Washington Post that U.S. authorities, U.S. intelligence authorities, had some information that some sort of action, some say an abduction, was planned. We don't want to conjecture. We in ALQST want to go down the route of a kind of human rights pressure using the full mechanisms of the UN Human Rights Council to independently, apolitically press for some sort of resolution, some information on what's happened to Jamal Khashoggi.
Well, the whole case has put a focus on Saudi Arabia and its human rights record. It's interesting that the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been frequently painted as a reformer who wants a more equal and open society. What do you make of that image?
No, not at all. I'm afraid, I regret that ALQST and other human rights organizations have now for a number of years documented the wave upon wave of arrests, not only of royals, people connected to the ruling family, or prominent businessmen as held in the Ritz Hotel last year, but also waves and waves of arrests of human rights defenders, women rights defenders, those who advocated the right to drive, for example, the right to fair trial, due process, the amount of time that individuals are held. It's not sustainable, and that's why we're calling for a review of Saudi Arabia's position on the Human Rights Council.
Do you think that the disappearance of Khashoggi will force a reaction from Western nations in a way that, you know, previous detentions and arrests, because he is not the first person to have disappeared?
Indeed, he's not. He's not. There's at least 5 or 6 individuals that we've documented. Loujain al-Hathloul, the women's rights advocate, she was taken off the streets of the United Arab Emirates and forcibly returned. Her husband was returned from Jordan. Another woman activist was returned from the Philippines in 2017. We hope that the sad fate, whatever's happened to Jamal, will be a reason, a cause for the Western authority, Western governments, all governments the world over, to wake up and see really the human rights catastrophe that's unfolding in Saudi Arabia.
The problem is, of course, that Saudi Arabia is a very important ally to the US, particularly in the Middle East, where it wants, the more allies that it can get. Do you think, therefore, that is going to affect their response, and are they being too diplomatic now?
Look, we have to hold them to what they themselves have said. In an interview with Bloomberg midway through last week, Mohammed bin Salman had said, in respect to some tweets that President Trump had issued, look, if your friends say a few things that you're not concerned about, so be it. Well, okay, if that's the case, explain what happened to Jamal, deal with the pressure that's being brought to bear upon Saudi Arabia, and reform in line with human rights standards.
Drewery, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Drewery Dyke there from ALQST.